join us with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and have a seat, and we welcome you to our board meeting on Monday, September 18th. This is the Lake Central School Corporation, where it is our mission to guide students to be independent learners and productive members of our society. There will be two options for you to address the school board. One will be before we vote on the agenda topics. There's a sign-in sheet in the back. The second one will be at the end of the meeting as a conclusionary remarks. And again, the sign-in sheet is in the back. Are there any questions? Okay, so moving forward, Dr. Bracco, we have the approval, deletions, and additions.
Yes, we do have a revised agenda at your workstation tonight, and there are additional items under Mrs. Schoen, Mrs. Castaneda, Mrs. Romala, and Mr. James's sections.
Could you have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. And motion carries. And Mrs. Lesentine, correspondence?
Okay, so I don't have correspondence, but I have a comment that I heard this weekend while I was at church, and so I wanted to share it. So I have a friend whose child has been going to a private school for her whole elementary career, and she's been asking her mom to go to public school because of some of the clickiness there. And they finally let her go to public school this year, and she is in Clark Middle School. And her first day there, she walked into the cafeteria not knowing anyone, and two girls came up and said, "Hey, you're new, come on over, sit with us." And she made two friends the first day she was there, which is more than what she had had probably in the past 4 years. And the parents were so excited for her, and she is so excited. So I just thought it was nice to share that, although it wasn't official correspondence. I shared that story this weekend, and I thought that that was wonderful news for our corporation and for our students to reach out like that. So.
Very nice. Congratulations, Mr. Graber. Will you express that to your students also? That's awesome. Great leadership. Perfect. Thank you, Mrs. Lesentine.
You're welcome.
Appreciate knowing that. Any other comments? All right, let's move ahead to liaison committee updates. And Mr. Marshall?
Yes. Westlake Joint Managing Board is quickly coming upon us. It's Wednesday, September 27th, here at Lake Central. We're still at 4 o'clock there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then as far as personnel interview committee, nothing to report.
Okay, and Mr. Baxo?
Nothing to report. Dire Parks Department, and unfortunately I wasn't able to attend the redevelopment committee meeting this month, but I will be there next month.
All right, very good. And Mrs. Suze?
Nothing on the redevelopment committee, but Dollars for Scholars homecoming is a Saturday.
Woo-hoo. And we're still selling tickets? No?
That window is closed.
Oh, okay. All right. Very good. Closed windows.
I think
Okay.
everyone's already gone, so.
Yes, there's a lot of students.
I heard there's like 1,300 students.
You were correct.
Wow.
That's good stuff.
That is
Fun
good
time.
stuff. Yeah. And Mrs. Lesentine?
I was unable to attend the Sherwood Redevelopment Committee meeting this month, so I will attend next month and get back to you.
Okay, and myself, the legislative committee, we do have a meeting with our legislators coming up soon. So board members, if there's any questions that you would like ask of them, please send them to me, because they would like to have the questions in advance so they can be prepared. Okay? And Education Foundation, I'm sorry, I was not able to attend the last Education Foundation meeting. I'm sure they're working on another round of grants. And with the wellness, I was not able to attend that. Dr. Bracco, do you have anything to report?
Not at this time.
Okay. And moving on to official school board business topics, consent agenda.
So seek a board approval for the minutes from the executive session and the regular meeting from September 5th, as well as approval of the claims, payroll, and extracurricular expenditures you received in your packets.
Move to approve.
Second?
Did you mention the executive session and the special meeting? No?
I don't know.
Okay.
Special meeting, we didn't take minutes minutes at it, but I guess.
Okay, so really three
I don't know how you
meetings.
approve minutes,
Yeah,
when you
right.
take minutes, but.
True, exactly. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and motion carries. And public comments regarding action items that we'll be voting on. All right, having no one, we'll move forward to the official school board business topics regular agenda. Dr. Baracco.
Okay, so for our first item, we will invite Chris Hall up to talk to us about the Safe Sports School Award. And Chris, if you come up here somewhere, we're not giving him anything, he's just gonna present to us.
Oh.
If you wanna, ask Tyler where the best place for you to stand so you can be in the streamed version of this meeting.
Somewhere over here, good?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you for having me. I just wanted to let you guys know that this is a process we started a couple years back. As you hopefully got into your packet of stuff, information about this award, this takes a lot of planning involved with it. Not only myself, Lydia Morgan, who's also one of our athletic trainers, Mr. Inyard, Mr. Zandor, our athletic administrators, we all kind of work together to try to get this done. The main thing is this is trying to make sure we have all the things, have safe facilities, safe equipment, everything for the safety of our student athletes. So this is an award given out by the National Athletic Trainers Association, which is our governing body. Again, there's only 21 schools in the state of Indiana who actually received this award. So out of over 300 plus schools, I think, at least, that do athletics in the state of Indiana. So I'm very proud of that. Actually, we're only the third one in the area. Behind Maryville and Highland is two other local schools that have gotten this award. So there's 10 parts to this thing of different areas that you have to kind of meet, not only the requirements, but there's also recommended things as well. So if you meet both those standards, you get what's considered first team award, which by doing that, they give us a nice, lovely banner, which I brought to share with you guys.
Very nice.
So we will hopefully be putting this up in our gym. And this award is a 3-year, we get this award for 3 years, and then we can reapply, assuming we keep meeting the standards. And for those of you who have not seen that. So we will be able to reapply at that point, because they do obviously update those standards as different policies, procedures come out. So some of the big policies that we had in there were like creating for like lightning policy, anything, we have lightning, what are we gonna do with those cold heat areas? We also have like skin diseases, which come up with football and wrestling primarily. We've had it in other sports, but what are we gonna do with those situations? So we've got a policy now established for those kind of things. Trying to see if I forgot anything else on there. Basically just having the biggest thing is just a plan and outline of how we handle situations. Making kind of have like what we call an athletic healthcare team, which is obviously includes us, our administrators, guidance counselors, nurses, those kind of things. So we all kind of play a part in that. So if we have information, we can send it to them, vice versa. So, but again, hopefully, again, you got a chance to look at this. It's a nice honor we got. Our application was funded by the Great Lakes Athletic Trainers Association, which is our district one. So they helped fund it. They were asking for people who wanted it. I was like, all right, well, I'll take, if you're gonna award the money, I'll try to get it for us. So we did, and they actually took that. So I want to thank them for obviously, assisting in that as well. So
Awesome.
I'll take any questions if you have anything about it. I mean, hopefully the informational packet helps a little bit. So,
Mr. Marshall.
I'd just like to make a quick comment. Over the years, I've had the enjoyable pleasure to attend quite a few LC athletic events. And to attest to Chris's commitment, he is there. He's a fixture out there, and he's done a wonderful job over the years. And my hat's off to you, Chris.
thank you.
Great
Yes,
job. Well
great job.
deserved.
Thank you.
There might be other comments or questions.
Sure, I'm more than welcome to answer any questions we have.
Any other questions? Well, I know I concur with what Mr. Marshall says. I mean, I just feel a sigh of relief when I walk into an athletic event and I see that you're in attendance, because it's just good to know that we have good care for our athletes. And we appreciate all the extra hours you give to our school corporation and to our students to provide that safe environment. So thanks so much, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good evening. Thank
too.
you again.
next item is to, for the first reading, share with the board some board policy revisions that we will bring back at our next meeting for action. The first one is just some clarifications, all recommended by Neola, to the open door law language. And so I don't think materially it changes much about what the law is trying to get you to do, but they changed the language to try to make it a little more clear. So that's what 0155, and you can see what parts they struck and what parts they added, which is in blue. And I'm gonna apologize, I had shaded on the next three the change, but it didn't transmit when we scanned it through, so I have to do that in yellow instead of gray next time. But on the 131, it is actually the 0131.2 section that is the change, and that's the technical corrections section that I mentioned briefly in our work session tonight. And what Neola is saying is if there are simple things that we wouldn't go to a public meeting like this with them individually listed, that we would just lump them together on a sheet, put them in the consent agenda, and you would approve them in bulk. When it's something like the last time we changed some very minor language, or we changed the number of a policy, changed the letter of a sub-policy or something like that. But you would still see it, and you would still have the chance, if you said, hey, I want to, in terms of the consent agenda, I'd like to have a discussion about this one item, and you could pull it out, similar to a personnel packet in the consent agenda. So I think that policy makes sense, because a lot of what I'm seeing with the updates is that they strike something out of one section of code and put it in another section of code, but they really don't change the intent or the content of the policy. And so we want to stay current and have the right code listed there, but it really is not a significant change. As you know, in the past, when we have had a significant change, such as when Indiana code changed last spring, and we have to now do criminal background checks on our employees every 4 years, that change was significant, and it did come to you back in May for your approval. So anything that is significant will still be listed separately on either my agenda or Mr. Gandolfi's. So that's 031.2, and then in the 0132 section, it is the language in 0132.1, the second paragraph, that talks about the hearing for superintendent contract, which we know about. And then in 0133, under the judicial, it is the fourth section that I believe was changed and or added, and it has to do with board members recusing themselves in certain instances, which, again, I think it's a clarification that as I read it, I can't think of the situation they're trying to describe, but it's there to better clarify.
Since we can't see those changes, can we?
I'll make sure that you can see them next time.
Okay. I just maybe.
I'll send
get
them.
a copy tomorrow or something
Yeah, I
like
can do
that. Okay.
Okay, so any discussion or questions about the recommendations? No? Are you comfortable in making a vote tonight then?
You can't vote.
Oh, this
It has
is
to
the
be read
first
twice.
reading.
This is
Yeah,
his
that's
first
right.
reading.
Okay, that's good that we'll get that document tomorrow then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. All right, thank you.
And so my third item was just to recap. Mr. Marshall and I attended Crown Point Learning Center last week to hear Dr. McCormick, our state superintendent of public instruction, and she focused on some things. The one that really got my attention was the transition from iStep to iLearn. That transition, many people are, concerned about, because it in many ways it feels like it's just a new name for a similar type of program. But she's pushing very hard for some things that would make it better, would make it significantly better. The first of which is to turn it into a computer adaptive test, which anybody who's ever taken a GRE knows that it challenges you until you can no longer handle the material, and then it goes back to simpler material, and eventually it levels it out to where they can determine what your skills are in a particular subject matter. It also shortens the test because it doesn't force students who have easily mastered the material to do several easy problems over and over again. It gets them right to the material more quickly. It will yield more precise measurement of each student's ability. You know, right now we're sort of look at pass and pass plus, and what does that really mean? It's not as easy to tell as if you have a computer adapted test. We do think it could save some money over time. We'd love to see some of those testing dollars find their way back into classroom activity. And the one concern that she did share with us was, you know, for some students in some districts, the technological literacy can be a concern. So what you never want to have happen, and we saw it not that long ago here, you don't want to feel like you're testing kids' ability to drag and drop items into a box, or if they drop it in the wrong box but they had the right number, then they get the item wrong, and then you're testing their technological skills, and that's never anything we want to see. So as always, you like to think that they'll come up with some way to have a practice test of sorts. And you know, the SATs figured out that if you start doing a PSAT, kids will get accustomed to the format. You won't be testing them on their ability to understand the format, you'll be testing them on what they know and can do. So it was very refreshing to hear Jennifer McCormick speak with a lot of rationale behind her ideas. She's really hustling, she's working very hard for public schools, and she's a very good leader for us. So hopefully she can continue to make inroads, especially in this area of testing, which we know a lot of people want to use it to label schools and students, which is troubling. But if we're going to do it, let's at least do it better. And that's what she's fighting for. So we're proud of her, and we appreciate her efforts.
Larry, did you have any idea on turnaround time for the results after this, or did they any sort of?
She didn't put a number on it, unless I missed it, but it would be a lot quicker.
I was thinking probably a lot.
And when you take the GRE, you get your answer then.
Yeah.
You walk out with your score.
Hopefully
But
it's yeah, shortened test session, and that would be so nice to get.
That didn't happen when I took the GRE. I did it by pencil and paper. You took it online, huh? Howard?
Just a general FYI question, Larry. In the past, former state school superintendent tapped our superintendent in place, Dr. Emery, to be her associate and follow her or attend meetings in Washington, etc. Has the new superintendent done the same, picked anybody in the state, or is it too early?
Well, she's tapped a lot of recently retired folks to join the DOE. She's brought back other skilled people, Wes Bruce, for instance, to help with testing. Brought back a girl who was in the Principal Leadership Institute with me, who had left to go to Ohio, and brought her back, and she's one of her chief academic officers. So she's got a much stronger group. I think if you speak to, well, for sure our two directors, they can tell you that they get answers a lot more quickly, and they trust what they're hearing is much more accurate too. So the department is a much stronger this year than it was in the past few. But in terms of her tapping any region people, I don't know of that. But what I will tell you is every time that I've been to a meeting with her, she hangs around because she wants to hear the stuff that maybe you didn't want to say out loud. And that's, to me, the sign of somebody who wants to find out what's happening out in the field. And when she does that, she's going to continue to get a lot of support from us, because we know that she's hungry to hear what's really going on.
Exactly. I got good vibes from her presentation. I could tell. I concur with your thought.
Thanks, Howard.
Well, thanks for attending, Mr. Marshall and Dr. Rocco. And sounds like we have a real positive going on there. It's very much appreciated.
All right, and moving on to, are you presenting?
Mr. Gandolfi, so he just has personnel recommendations tonight, and so seek board approval for those items.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, and motion carries. And Director of Primary Ed.
Thank you. My first item is to seek your approval of the professional leave request, as well as the revised professional leave that is in the board packet.
So moved.
Second?
Any questions or discussion? So I'm assuming that Jane Baxter, Chris Trevelyan is the addition?
Yes.
Okay, the highlight didn't come through, but.
And I apologize for that, but we didn't have our meeting until,
Oh, it's okay.
middle of last week, and so that's why it wasn't.
That's fine, no, I just couldn't see the highlights. Highlights didn't come through.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, any other questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, and motion carries.
Thank you. And for my second item, I just wanted to share some information about the professional development that we have been doing with our new deans. As you know, we hired 5 new deans this year, and they are all Lake Central staff. So they're familiar with a lot of our procedures and routines and processes, but they did need some additional training, especially seeing it from a more administrative viewpoint, some of the tasks that we do. So since we have hired them, we have brought them together for CPI, nonviolent intervention training. That training was done by Michelle Stan and Renee Plesha, who they are the ones that do all of our CPI training. Next, we did 504 training with them, and Mr. Gandolfi and Mrs. Vermalen were the ones that presented that. We included all the deans, principals, and assistant principals. It was a refresher for our principals and assistant principals, and we thought it was a great idea to get everybody together so they're hearing the same thing. We started the workshop with an overview of the law and the legal requirements of 504 plans, and then we ended with reviewing several scenarios. So a scenario was thrown out, and we kind of problem solved how would everyone handle it. So everyone felt that that was very beneficial. And then most recently, we had RISE Evaluator training that Sarah and I did on September 11th. Since all of our deans are coming out of the classroom and they are familiar with RISE, so our presentation focused more on from the evaluator perspective. So we went over completing short observations, how to do that in the classroom, and then also completing that in Stages, which is our evaluation software. They will go back to their buildings and complete a few observations with their principal to just do some inter-rater reliability and just additional support. Even before we started the training, we talked to principals and deans and asked about what training did they feel they needed, and principals, what training would they like us to do with the deans, and so we have a list. Our next training will be on entering student discipline in Skyward, which our secondary folks have already been doing based on the training that they got with their principals. But we're gonna do a training all together, again, just to make sure everybody is on the same page, following the same criteria, documenting it in the same way. So that's the next one up, and we have several planned throughout the coming week. Any questions?
Any questions? Okay, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you very
much. And Director of Secondary Ed.
Thank you. For my first item, I'm seeking your approval for the revised professional leave requests at your table this evening.
Move to approve.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Okay, and are there any questions?
Just a point of information, Sarah. Through my wife's contact with other people, she was told that the van is going to Ohio this Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not the regional trip. They've got down the date the 23rd.
They have an event in Ohio, and that is
That's a different
that's a
event.
regional, and then they have the one in Indianapolis.
Okay, so there's two.
This is the Band of America competition in Ohio. It's It's not the regional is later.
Is not.
Okay.
It is regional?
So this is a Bands of America Regional Championship in Toledo for the 23rd of September.
And that's this Saturday?
Yes.
Okay, so the date on that, it needs to be corrected, no big deal.
Oh,
Okay?
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
no, what is the date for Saturday?
Oh, wait a minute, Saturday's the 23rd.
Yes.
I'm sorry, my mind is elsewhere.
That's 'cause
Withdraw.
you're sitting next to
I
me.
didn't say anything.
That's a good point, Sandy. It's gotta
Because
be
he's sitting next to
Sandy.
me.
Oh.
Sorry, I've been making mistakes all night, Howard.
The years are catching up to me.
That's okay. I wanted to take a vote on the first reading. See, it's gotta be Sandy. She's touching both
Sorry.
of us.
Endless.
All right, so,
Foot and mouth.
so everything's okay for the Bands of America in Toledo on the 23rd, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and we have a second. Are there any other questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. And motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. For my second item, I'm seeking your approval for the revised field trip request at your table this evening.
So moved.
Second?
Okay. All right, so they're taking the band to Toledo on the 23rd, and then Frankfort, Illinois on the 1st
Correct, those are the
of
two additions.
October. Okay,
Okay.
all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Hold on. All
Hold on,
opposed?
someone's saying no.
Frankfurt is the 7th,
Excuse me?
Frankfurt is the 7th.
The 7th.
October 7th.
Oh, yeah, this is the 1st, and that is a Sunday, I believe, October 1, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be October 7th.
Saturday, October 7th.
Okay, so
You know
let's
what,
make
it
it,
was incorrect on the field trip form, I apologize, that we got from the band, so it should actually be the 7th.
okay. So we're changing that to the 7th, right? I'm glad we've got some people that are catching details here tonight. All right, so we're changing the Frankfort, Illinois band trip to the 7th of October. And that school corporation is called, what is it?
Lincoln Way.
This is called Lincoln Way, all right. This is one you were telling me about a while ago.
Yes.
All right, Lincoln Way. We can all drive to that one easily, right?
Close one.
Yeah, we could do that.
I know.
Let us know the time if you will. All right, so now we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, and motion carries.
Thank you. For my final item, just wanted to bring some information to your attention, though it will be in the district newsletter that goes out next month. But the parent social media presentations that we had last year, we are going to continue to have this year. Our first presentation is going to be on November 1st. It'll be at Kaler in the LGI at 6:30 p.m. And that is the presentation on sexting that Officer Patrick and I do for any parents who are interested in attending. We just talked about some of the concerns that clearly we have nowadays with students using their devices and having access to all the different social media platforms. And so that will be that evening for parents. It is open to all middle school parents. And then on November 8th, we will have the social media presentation for parents. That is the presentation that is also open to 4th grade parents. And that is the presentation during which our district technology trainers go through the various apps that tend to be popular with our students, talk to parents about how to make sure they have the appropriate privacy settings and whatnot on, and also talk about some of the apps that we don't really recommend our students using and kind of how to better monitor which apps your child is using as well. And that will be at 6:30 p.m. in the Kaler LGI as well. We are trying to set a date for maybe an afternoon presentation, because we know sometimes that works better with some of our parents' schedules. When we get that date, I'll bring that to you as well. I don't think we're going to do school messengers quite yet, since we've had them going out for Playground of Pills. We'll have them going out in October for Stairway to Heroin, so we don't want to throw too many dates out to our families at once, but we definitely will get the word out as soon as possible.
Okay, did you catch all that? And do you have any questions? And both events, the 1st and the 8th of November, are at Kaler at 6:30.
Correct.
Okay. In the LGI room? Okay. And I'm sure you said that. But. All right, thank you for sharing that with us. We appreciate that, and we appreciate you getting the information out to our parents. All right, and Director of Special Education.
My only item tonight is for you to approve the professional leave request, and just to explain the revision. There was a conference that you had previously approved for me to attend, and I am now unable to go. So Marianne Orfanos, who's one of our Westlake deans, is attending in my place. So she is actually on her way to Columbus, Indiana right now.
Then move to approve.
Yeah.
All right, do we have
I'll
any?
second that one.
Do we have any questions, comments? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, and motion carries. Thank you. And Director of Facilities, Mr. Ledger.
Thank you. I have just 2 items tonight. One I'll be seeking your approval on, and that is for a professional leave request for myself to attend the IASBL Facility Seminar and Expo at MSD Lawrence Township on September 27th.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions for Mr. Ledger? All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, and motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. My last item is to give you a brief update on the water sampling program. Lake Central is participating in the statewide water sampling program. It's basically being funded by the Indiana Finance Authority. They had a request for over 150 public schools within the state, and most of the schools that are around our area participating. Sarah Hudson reached out to me at the end of August. She is, her official title is the Director of Water Resources and Infrastructure Planning Program for the IFA, and basically she's handling all the paperwork and everything. So I've been working closely with her, and we set everything up, and then she basically handed it off to Donald Tripp, who is the IGWS lead sampling program coordinator, which is basically the Indiana Geological and Water Survey. It's an institute associated with Indiana University, who's also handling all the statewide programming. Basically, it's a 2-phase program. Phase 1 is basically an investigation, information gathering, due diligence of all of our schools. So I worked with Don closely, and we set up a schedule with the help of Sarah and Teresa, worked with me to make sure we weren't going to interfere with any testing. Normally it's a much shorter process than it is at Lake Central because of the magnitude of our schools, and 10 schools. They basically finished up everything today at the high school, but they started last Monday, so it was a 6-day process, and they had to do the high school in one day. They had 9 engineers running around the high school all day to conclude all that. And basically what they're doing is, as I said, it's information gathering. Don's been great to work with. So far it's been fantastic. They come in and they kind of identify all the fixtures that students and staff will consume water out of, either drinking or cooking, and that's what they do. So they get all this information, and they go back and process it all. Then in about 6 weeks roughly, they'll come back and they'll actually do the sampling. And the sampling will be done to not interfere with anybody, kitchens or anything else. It'll be done early in the morning. They'll be in all of our schools now. They have all this information before school starts. So in about 6 to 8 weeks, they'll be contacting me again, and they'll be coming up, and probably for another week, a couple hours each morning. And then they'll send all the samples off to be tested. So that's where we are right now.
Good, it's good to know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions from Mr. Ledger? All right, thank you, Bill, for sharing that with us. All right, and moving on to Director of Business Services.
Thank you, Dr. Malco. If you recall, at our last regularly scheduled board meeting on September 5th, I gave the board a presentation of the 2018 budget. The next step in that process is to give our taxpayers the opportunity to give any comments regarding what we talked about at that meeting. So we published a notification in the paper on September 7th, and at this time, we get to have a public hearing and ask anyone in the audience if they have any comments about what the items that were published in the newspaper on September 7th. So I will ask anyone.
I haven't seen anybody hopping up and raising
No.
their hand.
So with that concludes our public hearing. And the next step will be we will pass some resolutions and formally adopt the budget at our next meeting on October 9th. So that's all I have for the first time.
Very good. Any other comments or questions before we move on? All right, hearing
No.
none, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Next item is to seek your approval to apply for an application to the Common School Loan Technology Program. We do this every 6 months or so, and the amount we could apply for this time is, we're estimating it at around $939,000. It's $100 per ADM, and they are basing it on our September ADM count here. That count date was this past Friday, and then we will spend the next 2 weeks kind of working out the conflicts in the numbers. So at this time, I don't have the exact amount that we will be applying for, but I seek your approval to apply for the maximum amount that we are allowed, which should be somewhere around that $939,000. The reason I'm bringing this to you now is the application is due before our next regularly scheduled board meeting. I seek your approval.
Move to approve?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions about the motion? The only thing that I would like to say, Mr. James, is first of all, it's a great opportunity, and I'm so glad that you're willing, along with the technology department, to move forward on it. It's helped our district tremendously over the years.
For sure.
And of course, my concern, as is always, I've stated to you openly forever, is that when we buy the extra equipment, let's make sure we have the appropriate number of staff members to support the teachers and the
And we consistently tell you that we provide that.
Awesome.
So.
Perfect.
Any others?
Hearing none? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign?
Thank you.
Motion carries.
My next item is to seek your approval for an extracurricular purchase that the Grimmer Middle School Athletic Department would like to do. They would like to purchase a timing system to be used for the cross-country meets. That timing system would cost an estimated $7,500 and would be paid from the Grimmer Athletics Extracurricular Fund. So I seek your approval on that extracurricular purchase.
Move to approve.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second for the extracurricular purchase. Are there any questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, and motion carries.
Thank you very much. And then my last item is to seek your approval on a few donations. On the receive side, Grimmer recently received $75 from the Coca-Cola Give Program, and our Westlake Special Education Department received an additional $300 donation from Lake Central student Jackson Long. If you recall, he's the student who came selling the Push for the Region wristbands here at the board meeting. And so he has raised an additional $300 that he'd like to give to the basketball program. On the given side, the high school volleyball teams recently did a serve-a-thon fundraiser for Jack Quinlan. He's the high school student currently battling some health issues. And the team would like to donate the entire $1,122 raised to the family to help offset some of their costs. And then I had two additional donations that were not originally in your board packet that came in after the board packet had gone out. And those two were the High School Future Medical Professionals Club would like to donate $350 to the National Alopecia Areata Foundation. And then the High School Interact Club would like to donate $150 to a local needy family. So we seek your approval on those donations received and to be given.
Move to approve?
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, and motion carries.
Thank you. Appreciate your support.
Absolutely. Okay, it's time for public comments. Do we have any public comments? No? All right, moving on to board comments and consideration of future agenda topics. Let's start with you, Mrs. Suze.
I've got nothing tonight.
Okay, and Mr. Baxo?
I don't have anything really to comment on this evening.
Okay, and Mrs. Lesentine?
Just looking forward to a great homecoming week for the high school. Lots of fun activities going on. And a good game on Friday and an awesome dance on Saturday. I can't wait.
Are you going?
I am.
Oh, cool.
I love volunteering and that stuff.
Anything else? And Mr. Marshall?
Just a general observation. I noticed in the paper, unless I missed something, our federal Secretary of Education, Secretary DeVos, made a visit to the community. She actually was in attendance in a visit with charter schools in the Gary area. And unless, again, if I missed something, I hope that since she didn't extend their visit to the public school education forum, that we don't become stepchildren in her eyes. That's just my personal observation.
Here, here.
Yes, I think that's a very good observation,
Very good
Mr. Marsh,
observation.
and I believe we all would concur with that. It's an element of concern, definitely. So that's why it becomes very important for us to speak out and let our opinions be known. I don't know. Oh, I know, we, as we're kicking off the playground to pills, I believe there's some sessions going on tomorrow at our middle schools. Practice was today, correct?
Practice today, yes.
And I think Kayla and Grimmer are tomorrow.
Correct.
And then we have an evening event tomorrow night at the LGI room in the high school? Or is it at, what are
In
the?
the theater.
In the theater.
Now we're talking, yeah.
All right, so the playground to pills is a little bit different.
It is a different program. It is content targeted towards parents of middle school kids, although I think there are parts of the presentation that'll be applicable to all. It's not the same presentation that the students hear during the day. So it is designed specifically for parents. So we're hoping that we see many parents from our community out tomorrow evening.
And if you can reach out and encourage people to come, people that maybe are dealing with issues are a little bit embarrassed about it, encourage them to come and get the knowledge. Because until you have the knowledge and the understanding, you cannot make a strong stance. You have to know what you're dealing with. And even then, it's difficult and hard to do. So I would encourage all of you in this room, all of us up here too, to reach out to 2 or 3 people and say, hey, I want to make you aware of this. If you would like to go, I'd be more than happy to attend with you or something like that. Because if you've ever had to deal with that, it's a very tough challenge in your life, and it's very lonely, it's very frightening. So I thank our school corporation leaders for providing this to our parents, and hopefully we'll take advantage of it like we should. And I have nothing else at this point. And Dr. Bracco, how about you?
Yes, so I think the first thing we want our public to know is that our meeting is pushed back a week in October to the 9th, because we will be attending the School Board Association Conference in Indianapolis on the 2nd and 3rd. And so folks who would traditionally come out on the 1st and 3rd, this month we have gone to the 2nd and the 4th Monday, since there are 5 Mondays in October. Secondly, the board has been invited to the local ISBA dinner, and that's on the 24th, and that will focus predominantly on the upcoming legislative session, and we get a chance, if we don't, in early October, to meet our new executive director, Terry Spradler, who's a really good hire for ISBA.
What's the date on that one?
And
What was the date on that one, Larry? I'm sorry.
that's on the 24th of October.
Thank you.
You did say that.
Yeah, just to catch up.
And that's all I have this time.
Okay, and before I forget, I needed to add, don't forget, we meet back here again at school board members for the evaluation
25th.
meeting on the 25th at 6 o'clock. Correct, and then several of us are looking forward to visiting Pathfinders and Hammond Area Career Center. So you're gonna make those arrangements, correct? And are there any comments from the community, or did I already ask for that? I did, didn't I?
You did.
See, Sandy? See, it's you, Sandy.
I'm
All
ready
right.
for adjournment.
All right, call for
Second.
adjournment. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.